On September the 30th of 2022, the Hendry County Sheriff's Office in Florida received reports that 39-year-old nurse Katie Baunack was missing. The last time she'd been seen a day prior, Katie had dropped her children off at a friend's house and told them she'd be picking up some items from the home of her ex, 43-year-old professional bodybuilder Ian. About a month prior, the woman had filed for a restraining order against him. When deputies went to the fitness star's residence, they found Katie's car in the driveway with her purse inside. Law enforcement obtained a search warrant and returned to the property for several days, during which they found a number of illegal items owned by Ian, as well as damning evidence that the missing woman had been murdered by him. There were signs of a struggle between the garage doorway and foyer, as well as traces of blood in Ian's truck, which the man maintained had come from groceries. Katie's wedding band and engagement ring, both of which she was reportedly wearing upon dropping off the children, were found in a safe at the home. Upon further examination of the property, investigators came upon what was described as a fresh burn pile in the backyard, which contained part of a jawbone and a tooth. Nearby was a 50-gallon barrel which contained another bone fragment and reeked of decaying flesh. The police also recovered 13 vials of steroids, which Ian admitted belonged to him, along with more than a dozen unregistered silencers, an AR-15 upper receiver, and a Glock Model 27 40-caliber pistol. Ian waived his Miranda rights and told law enforcement that he and Katie had gotten into a row about another woman when she'd visited his home. He claimed that he went to sleep to avoid further arguments and that Katie was gone when he woke up. His version of events held up poorly against the evidence, and he was taken into custody on charges of first-degree premeditated murder, destruction or concealment of physical evidence, and cremating a dead body. Number 7. Mary Malloy. In April of 2020, Australian fitness model Mary Malloy was given a 3-year suspended sentence for the role she'd played in a massive MDMA trafficking operation ran by her former boyfriend, Jason Adkins. His illegal activity was believed to have run from 2016 to 2018, and at the height of his power, bodybuilder Adkins was making transactions of up to $200,000. A police raid resulted in him losing his supply in November of 2017, as 24,000 MDMA pills with a street value of more than $1 million were seized from a property in Albion. Adkins became desperate as he was no longer able to cover his drug debts and feared retaliation from his criminal associates. He liquidated a number of assets, including a valuable engagement ring he'd given 25-year-old Malloy. The latter became directly involved in the trafficking operation, and she chased down debts for him. They eventually broke up and were arrested separately in April of 2018. About a year later, Malloy pleaded guilty to various charges, including supplying and trafficking dangerous drugs. Adkins also admitted trafficking drugs and was sentenced to 7 years in prison, with a chance at parole after 2. Certain arguments from his defense were taken into consideration during sentencing. His attorney argued that Adkins was not a kingpin in the Brisbane drug trade, while also highlighting his difficult upbringing and mental health struggles, which included depression, anxiety, and PTSD. The court was told that the bodybuilder had tried to take his life on 2 occasions prior to his arrest and had actively sought help for his issues. Number 6. Sarah Rutherford. Fitness star and pet clothing entrepreneur Sarah Rutherford was arrested by law enforcement in Sydney, Australia in February of 2020 for running an illicit business through which she distributed up to 300 grams of cocaine to the city's professional elite. On the surface, Rutherford ran Furry Culture, an online clothing store that boasted selling only the best designer apparel for dogs. Following an investigation carried out by detectives from the city's drug and firearms squad, it emerged that the 29-year-old was behind a dealer-dealer cocaine ring. She'd organized delivery of the drugs by way of drivers whom she contacted on the phone, then met and supplied. The police raided her Greenacre home on February the 27th and seized mobile phones, cocaine, drug paraphernalia, and documents pertaining to the operation. The woman, originally from Bridgewater in Somerset, England, was taken into custody and charged, among other offences, with supplying commercial quantities of drugs and directing a criminal group assisting crime. Number 5. Anthony Ragusa. Starting in 2013, bodybuilder Anthony Ragusa from Long Island, New York, began collecting disability benefits after he'd suffered a fall while working as an electrician. He claimed that his injuries had left him unable to walk for more than 15 minutes or stand for more than 30. Ragusa continued receiving benefits for the next 7 years, reaching a total sum of approximately $200,000. During that time, however, he owned and ran a business called White Star Limousine while regularly working out. Ragusa frequently went to Bev Francis Gym in Syosset, which was known as a mecca for bodybuilders. Suspicions regarding his illegal activity arose in 2017 due to the social media posts of his wife, Lolly. The woman, a professional athlete with the International Federation of Bodybuilders, uploaded photos and videos to her Instagram that showed her working out alongside Ragusa. The latter's heavily muscled physique starkly contradicted the supposed disabilities for which he'd been receiving taxpayer money. He was arrested and ultimately pleaded guilty to second-degree grand larceny. New York Attorney General Letitia James referred to his actions as not only a shameful slap in the face to those who actually live with disabilities, but a vast waste of taxpayer dollars. Ragusa was ordered to complete 5 years of probation and to pay the Social Security Administration $200,000 in restitution, with failure to comply resulting in him spending up to 3 years behind bars. Number 4. Mark Boyce. Australian fitness star Mark Boyce lashed out during a video court appearance in October of 2020 after he was denied bail following his arrest for assault and obstruction. He was already on probation in August of that year, and 6 weeks later, Boyce was accused of attacking a woman and causing her bodily harm in Brisbane's Manly West. The following day, the bodybuilder allegedly obstructed an officer and hindered him from performing his duties. The 30-year-old appeared via video link from the Brisbane Watch House and reacted violently upon hearing that his bail request was denied. He began punching a Perspex door and repeatedly yelled out, "Let me out of this place!" before the link cut off. Queensland Police had opposed the request, arguing that releasing Boyce would have meant endangering the safety or welfare of members of the public. Number 3. Danny Reardon. Award-winning bodybuilder Danny Reardon was arrested in Edgewood, Florida in the fall of 2014 for attacking her boyfriend and damaging his car. According to a police report, 25-year-old Reardon got into a dispute with other guests at a house party. The intoxicated woman started pulling out plants and kicking vehicles before directing her rage towards her partner of 3 years, Ian Schofield. She tackled and punched him before kicking and shattering the windshield of his truck. Officers were called to the property and struggled to take the belligerent fitness star into custody. Reardon, who competed in the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness, initially resisted arrest but ultimately complied. While she was transported to Orange County Jail, Reardon, who was nicknamed Lil Monster in competition circles, had another outburst that involved her slamming her head against the cage that separated the officers from the back seat. She was charged with resisting arrest and battery. Number 2. Nathan DeAsher and Richard Green. In August of 2017, Richard Green, the owner of a gin in Barnstable, England, was stopped in traffic by local law enforcement. They searched his vehicle and found hundreds of ecstasy pills, along with about $3,000 in cash. The find triggered an investigation into the affairs of 48-year-old Green, a former bodybuilder who called himself Mr. Iron Man on social media, and his wife Georgina, who was known as Mrs. Iron Man. In the boiler room of the gym that the former owned, the police discovered illegal steroids worth over $10,000 and tens of thousands of dollars in cash that had been placed in shopping bags. Green admitted possession of Class C steroids with intent to supply and was jailed for 4 years and 6 months at Exeter Crown Court. Georgina was handed a sentence of 12 months, suspended for 2 years in order to do 240 hours unpaid community work. Further investigative reports revealed that the couple were working with Liverpool-based bodybuilding champion Nathan De Asher. The latter had sent the steroids to Green's Pain and Gain gym from his own fitness facility in the suburb of Speck. The packages received by Green had De Asher's home address on them, an aspect which prosecutors later described as stupidity, and they were also found to contain the bodybuilder's fingerprints. De Asher had supplied the illegal substances over the course of several months after giving a bodybuilding demonstration to customers. A judge called the man a disgrace to his sport and gave him a suspended sentence of 12 months. De Asher was a British Grand Prix champion when he was sentenced and had to withdraw from a Mr. Olympia event in Las Vegas in order to attend court. Number 1. Hossein Balapour. 33-year-old Australian fitness star Hossein Balapour, known as Yaki Boy across social media, was arrested by Sydney police in January of 2023 following a street brawl outside a unit complex in Rosebery. The incident took place on the 15th of the month and it involved Balapour and 30-year-old personal trainer Marvin Yacoub. In the past, the two bodybuilders had posed for photos together and described themselves as brothers. They eventually began feuding over money and cars, with the dispute reaching its climax in the video-recorded fight. As they stood next to each other surrounded by other men, Balapour headbutted Yacoub, knocking him to the ground, and then delivered a flurry of strikes while he was down. Yacoub got up and tried to run away, but his 6'5" aggressor chased him down through oncoming traffic and hit him again with what appeared to be a long, thin object. Their companions intervened and managed to separate them. Law enforcement became aware of the video after it had been widely shared on social media and launched an investigation. On January the 20th, heavily armored officers from the State Crime Command's Raptor Squad stormed into the gym at Balapour's unit block. What followed was recorded on their body cams. The officers dragged the fitness star off a treadmill and forced him on the floor, where they restrained him. He was then led into the back of a police van and taken to the station. Balapour was charged with a fray, using an offensive weapon with intent to commit an indictable offense and breach of bail. The latter violation was connected to a separate assault charge for which he'd been bailed out at the time of the attack on Yacoub, and to which he'd pleaded not guilty. Thanks for watching. Would you rather only work out your legs or your upper body? Let us know in the comments section below.